move on to kind of a question and answer period, and I think maybe our veteran service officers, we want to introduce them, Mike, Hallie, and Eric, okay, from Eau Claire County, and Mike is from Chippewa County, and they're here to probably maybe give an update on a few things that's happening with veterans benefits or what have you. And then you can maybe ask them some questions. The only thing that I have to really caution you on the questions is that we cannot get into very personal things here. If you have some really detailed personal things you need to, some issues you need to discuss with a veteran service officer, you can talk to them privately. They have a little display in the back corner of the room there. We're looking more for general questions. I know one question I'm looking for is what's happening with the Blue Water veterans rules that might be out there, both maybe in the lawsuit and something that may be happening in Congress something down the line. And I'm sure that some other the veterans of here, especially Navy veterans, might be interested in that Blue Water veterans stuff that's going on there. So we'll hand the mic over to Eric and Mike here.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to take a quick opportunity to introduce myself and to get everyone in the room to be familiar with my face and my name. I'm brand new in this position. I started on January 16th. I'm the new Eau Claire County Veteran Service Officer. I'll give you a 30-second overview of who I am, and then I'm going to let Mike, who's been doing this job for, I think, 18 years, Mike? 20 years. He's going to handle most of the questions since he's got most of the experience. But just a little bit about me. I grew up in Altoona. I spent 31 years on active duty in the Army and the Army National Guard. As a matter of fact, I recognize a lot of faces back there. I see Sergeant Amundsen, Sergeant Rude, Captain Anderson, a lot of people that I've served with over the years. Made a decision when I retired in 16, my wife and I, to move back to my hometown. Happy to be back. It's an honor to be here, and look forward to working with everyone in the future. So again, I'm going to let Mike handle not every question, but most.
Okay, thank you. As he said, I'm Mike Hallie. I get a little bit of a cold, so if I don't come through very well, I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry I got a cold too. We're going to talk a little bit about, it says benefits update. And so the main ones I can pick up are, of course, the Blue Water Navy vets. They had a court case that said you cannot rule out the Blue Water Navy vets. And then the VA then appealed that to a higher court. And they have so much, I don't know how much time they have, but they're going to take their time to decide whether they're going to hear it or not. If they don't hear it, it probably becomes law. At least I think it does. But as it is right now, the VA appealed that, and it's going to be heard at a higher court, and they're going to make a decision on that. If the VA can say, we're going to say this miles out, whatever, you're not that close, you're considered blue water. If you're within so many miles but not in a coast, not brown water, they're going to rule out. They're going to go through all that stuff. And if they say no, if you were in the Blue Water Navy vet, you are eligible for presumptive conditions, then that's the way it is. But right now, it's as everybody knows, it's put on brown or brown water in that area of who's eligible and who's not. And once in a while, you get somebody over in another country where they sprayed it. North Korea from 68 to 72. I'm not positive that's exactly, but I know it's right around there. And if you're right on the DMZ, that's the restrictions we have right now. It's going to open up, though, if the court does not hear this or if the court decides in the favor of the Blue Water veterans. There's also another, within 90 days coming through to the VA, there's going to be another decision on 4 more conditions that are going to be eligible for those that are eligible right now for Agent Orange exposure claims. The presumptive claims they're making a decision on 4 more claims. If those 4 are bladder cancer, hypertension, it's Parkinsonism or related diseases like Parkinson's. Right now, if you have Parkinson's, if you're diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, you get compensation. If you're diagnosed with Parkinsonism, you don't. Even though they kind of mirror each other in symptoms, it's considered 2 different diseases. But the VA. And this decision is supposed to be made within 90 days. Now, let me just say that decision is going to be made within 90 days by whoever's making up this going to make the decision. Then it's going to go. It's got to go then to the Secretary of the VA, and that person then he has to make the decision. Where it goes from there, and it might end up extending out farther, or it may not. And maybe within 90 days they may decide bladder cancer, hypothyroidism, that's what it is. And bladder cancer, hypothyroidism, Parkinsonism, and bladder cancer, did I ever say that? There's 4. I know I mentioned it. Sorry if I didn't get them right in order. But, so those are another 4 that are coming down. And of course, then you have, when you have those, it's just like type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes isn't really the big claim probably for VA dollars. If you develop type 2 diabetes and you're Vietnam considered exposure to Agent Orange, type 2 diabetes is 10% or 20%, almost all cases. It's usually 20. If you're taking metformin or some other kind of medicine for it, it's 20%. If you're doing it through diet control and stuff like that, it's 10%. But most of the claims then come secondary to the type 2 diabetes. Peripheral neuropathy, maybe some eye conditions, and other conditions like that. That's where the bigger amount of the claims come at, because they're secondary to it. And it's going to be the same thing with these claims. You're going to have some of these conditions, and there's going to be secondary to those conditions, and oftentimes it's going to be a higher claim than the original claim itself. Then we have Camp Lejeune claims, which maybe some of you know and others I'm sure don't. They have some presumptives for your exposure to Camp Lejeune if you're there from August of 53 to December 67. I don't see the list here, but it had to be at least 30 days. Oh yeah, there it says, at least 30 cumulative days. Okay, and you had to have an honorable discharge under honorable conditions. And if you have a diagnosis of adult leukemia, aplastic anemia, and other myelodysplastic syndromes, bladder cancer, kidney cancer, liver cancer, multiple myeloma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and Parkinson's disease. And of course, if your law goes through as Parkinsonism, that would be counted in also. That would be, they would also group something, just like Agent Orange exposure. If you have them and you were there, it's a claim. It's a positive claim. And who's covered in that is actually veterans. Anybody who's a veteran, or if you're a reservist there for that point in time, in that time frame, 30 days or more, or guardsmen. Then they also have some family benefits, and that's a little bit trickier, kind of, but there's some more conditions for those also. So if you and anybody else that lived there with you on base was there for that time frame for these 30 days, come and see your Cvso or somebody anyway that deals with veteran benefits and make sure you know what those are. There's also all 4 presumptive illness. They have a limited number of conditions, diseases, illnesses that considered presumptive service. That, if you were over there and you have conditions you're worried about, my best advice is just come and see your Cvso on that. Because it's kind of, before a group, there's not going to be very many affected by it here, and it can get into pretty in-depth. So you just go see your Cvso if you're really called for and you have conditions that you're worried about, or you think may be service connected. Then, just off on another tangent here, I was just talking to Al over here, and at the high ground, veterans archery hunts, over there, if you see Al over there, and they got their, wave your hand over there, Al. There he goes, over there. Okay. You want to go over there, and if you're a hunter, you want to go over and see him, because that's just outstanding ground. Did you donate that ground to high ground? Is that right? Or how does that work? Yes. Okay. He's got this land out there. I've been out there a couple times. I missed the last meeting out there. I felt really bad about it, but I just couldn't do it. It is just outstanding. That's the only way you can explain it. It's just outstanding. He's got, how many acres I got there? 300? 300 acres. Deer run all over the place, running into each other at that time. But you can go out there and hunt, and he'll work with you on that. They'll work with you on that. They got 5 different dates. It's just for veterans, right? Okay. And those are what used to be. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is we'll open this up to questions. Any questions, doesn't have to be about what I talked about, it can be anything. Try not to get specific about your claim. Kind of general claims work better, it's more about information to more people.
Yeah, quick one for you.
Okay, we got
particularly on the Blue Water veterans.
Okay.
Can they make a claim now in anticipation that either get the paperwork started, or at least, how do you go about doing some initial thing on, well, almost any claim, I guess it should be.
Leroy is asking a really good question. And the reason is because if you claim now, it kind of depends on the decision when they come out and say, okay, if they say you're eligible, okay, and they say the law goes into effect on October 1st, but you claim back in April, are they going to count that time frame? I've heard them say before they're not going to, and they've done it. So if somebody comes in and says, I have bladder cancer, I have any of those conditions, but right now I know it's going to be denied, I'd still file the claim. Because it could go back. They're going to come out and say from this date forward probably, but that doesn't really mean that's what's going to happen. So the answer to your question is yes, you should file if you have one of those conditions. Yep.
In a recent article in the VFW magazine, the government is trying to take, if you got 30% disability, they're trying to take...
I'll have you speak into the microphone.
National death advice. Is that true or what? In a recent VFW magazine, there was an article in there about the government trying to tax, so to speak, your benefits. And there's leaning toward if you've got 30% disability, to canceling it altogether. Anybody know anything about that?
That was one of the things that was
Okay, I haven't heard that, so I can't speak specifically on that, but I doubt it, very seriously. Neither of those conditions I think is going to happen, but that's my opinion. But that's what I think. I guess you asked me what I thought, so that's what it is. I don't think so.
Maybe you could go over how maybe a veteran gets into the veterans home as far as when things are paid for.
Oh, okay. We have a veterans home out here with 72 beds. It is really nice, well run. It's a great place. So a veteran can get in there, and it's your typical vet can get in there. And they also have room for spouses. 25% of whatever it is. 25%? Okay. 25% of the beds can be used for spouses too. So when you go in there, it's basically as if you're going into, in most cases, it's the same as if you're going into another nursing home as far as pay-wise. Okay? If you're going to pay so much a month, and you pay that down. If you run out of assets, you're going to go on medical assistance, just like it is in most every other nursing home. Except that the VA, if you're rated at 70% or higher, the VA pays for that nursing home. And if you're collecting compensation, the VA continues to pay your compensation and pay for the nursing home. And if you have someone at home, that check goes to your home. So, okay.
If you're 70% or more, the veteran is paid for. They stay there free.
That's right.
The spouse comes in there. I believe that the number I was given was $365 a day for the spouse, until the assets were down to $2,000.
Whatever the amount is, it's probably different for different people, but whatever the amount is, that you're basically correct. They pay the full amount of the nursing home. Yeah.
Unless she's affected. Unless she is affected.
Right. Well, unless she's a veteran, that's 70% or higher.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
On the homes, I just want to emphasize that here in the state of Wisconsin, we have veterans homes, outstanding veterans home at Chippewa Falls that has 72 beds. But we also have an absolutely beautiful home. I describe it, it's like a Wisconsin resort. If you have a chance to check out King, we have vacancies there right now. Mark and his tremendous facility here at Chippewa Falls does have a waiting list, but we do have room at King. We also have a home at Union Grove, very close to the Milwaukee area. If you have relatives, friends who would be able to come over and see you, or a relative that you may consider residing at the home. So I do definitely encourage you to check out with WDVA and or your Cvso to see what qualifications or conditions would be applicable to you and your spouse, and how it would apply to your eligibility to be at the home.
The King home is huge, and it is really nice. When I've been there, they go out, and they got this great big pontoon, I think they have two of them now. And they take you guys out fishing during the summer, right on the lake. And it is really, really nice. Okay, that hand first.
If, on that subject, if you go to King because there's not room in Chippewa, can you get transferred when there is room there, or do you get knocked off that level?
No, I think you can transfer from King to Chippewa. And you go, I think you go right to the top of the list, am I right, Mark?
spend 90 days at King, you'll go to the top of our list in Chippewa.
Good question. Yes?
I have two questions. One, if you're covered under VA healthcare and you're 40 miles from Minneapolis,
Okay.
what is the progress of being able to be covered in your own area with, say, cardiologists or other specialty doctors? And then my second question is, it seems to me, and I hope I'm not misstating this, Eau Claire County has cut back on their service officers. Why is this going on?
The second one, I'm not the best at answering that, so I'll have Eric answer that. I don't know that happened, so. The first one though, 40 miles. One thing, first off, 40 miles is from your nearest clinic, VA clinic or hospital. It's not from the hospital. They don't rule you 40 miles from the VA hospital, they rule you 40 miles from the nearest VA clinic. Okay, I only know one vet, and I can find out more today, but that's more than 40 miles in our county that's away from he's up in some corner somewhere. That's more than 40 miles from the clinic, so he can get, they used to call it choice, now it's non-VA care. It's all kind of one and the same. Then it's easy for that person because he's more than 40 miles away from anything, in VA clinic or VA hospital, to get non-VA care locally. If you're not, the VA is just not going to, they're not just going to send everybody locally. And it's a budget issue. Okay, so does that mean you can't? It doesn't mean you can't. If you have a barrier to get to the VA in Minneapolis and for a special care appointment, then we can work on that and get you locally cared for too. That's probably, maybe that's oversimplifying, but it's basically that's what it is. And sometimes if they're full, if the VA is full and it goes past 30 days, let's use audiology. You go past 30 days, they hook you up, or you call up there, I call up there for you, and we're talking to him, and he says, yeah, we got an appointment that's 45 days away. You say, make that appointment for me. This is how it used to be, and I guess it still is. They make that appointment for him, and then we turn around and we ask for non-VA care, because it's more than 30 days away. Right. Most of our veterans who get non-VA care locally, it's because of the 30 days. Some of them get it because they're not, it's a risk to take them and drive all the way to Minneapolis and back. So those are kind of the rules behind that non-VA care and choice. And people that got that choice card, it does not allow you to go, I got 2 of these in the last couple weeks, that does not allow you to go to anywhere and say, here's my choice card, and charge it to them. That's not going to work. That's just to inform you, I don't know why they did that, but it's just to inform you that you're eligible for choice, under the right rules. We can get into who can get cared for. Look at, emergencies are a different deal. They're a whole different, it's a whole different thing with emergencies. Emergencies are if you have no other insurance and you use the VA as your healthcare provider and you have an emergency and that doc down there codes it as an emergency, you can probably get the VA to pay for it. As long as you've been to see your VA primary care doctor at least once in the last 2 years. Make sure you go at least once a year. So there's some of that. But as far as non-VA care, that's kind of the rules on it. Okay? Okay, oh, I'm sorry. I remember one question. That's all I got. Okay. He's going to ask you.
I'll address the service officer question real quick. The good news is Eau Claire has 2 full-time VSOs, and then we have an admin specialist. If you look historically, that's about as flush as we've been as a county. We've had, in the past, there's been some part-time personnel. The other good news is that within the last year, the Veterans Service Office and the Aging Disability Resource Center started sharing space. And what that does for us is we are able to share the reception personnel. So we don't have to have somebody hired to do the reception piece. But I want to be clear, the ADRC and the veterans are 2 separate entities, 2 separate offices. We just share space, and they're gracious enough to allow us to share the admin people. So we're actually sitting pretty good. We always want more resources, more people, more money to do things. But as a whole, I think we're looking pretty good with 2 full-time VSOs and an admin specialist. Yeah.
And both Mike, could you go over your van policies for transportation to Minneapolis?
Yeah, we both have vans to transport veterans to the Minneapolis VA. We just did our annual report last year. Eau Claire, I don't know what you did in Chippewa, Mike, but Eau Claire, we transported 472 veterans to the Minneapolis VA. Our van leaves on odd days, and you're even. And we leave at 8 o'clock in the morning. We're typically back mid-afternoon. If you want to get a ride to the Minneapolis VA, call our office, we'll get you on the schedule.
Eric, we leave at 7 in the morning.
Okay, it's 7 in Chippewa.
It's 8 o'clock.
Is it?
Oh, Claire leaves at 7.
I could be wrong.
I'm a driver.
I stand corrected. I'm a driver.
He's all voted. Okay, question?
I go to the Toma VA.
Yep.
Well, the clinic for the Toma VA is up in Owen Whitney.
Okay.
It's just as far for me to drive to Owen Whitney as it does for me to drive to Toma.
Okay.
Now, both of them are over 40 miles.
Do you live in Eau Claire County?
I live in Eau Claire
Are
County.
you 40 miles?
I do not go to Minneapolis.
It doesn't matter where you go. It's your location to the nearest VA clinic. I mean, you can say, I want to go to Florida. You know what I'm saying? It's just playing it that way. But
I am actually forced to go to the Chippewa clinic.
if you're within 40 miles, no, you're not forced to go there. Only if you're going to try to use it for non-VA care. Only if you're going to use it for non-VA care. That's the only time it makes a difference.
That's what I'm talking about, because I want to stay down at Toma.
Yeah.
Or if I was, I'd go to the clinic.
Yeah.
See, when I receive my consultation, I only get to the Eau Claire. I don't get to the either Owen Whitney or Toma.
Right.
That's when I get my care done. I don't go to Minneapolis. I won't.
And you don't have to, but that's your choice. I'm just saying the way the VA looks at it. If you're within 40 miles of any VA clinic or any VA hospital, that's what they count. Right or wrong, that's what they say.
Well, that's because you don't have choice then.
Okay. Hey.
I got a question of staffing at the Chippewa clinic.
Okay.
Now, we lost the doctor, my doctor, and I've been working with the pharmacist, because my diabetes, which is fine, he does a wonderful job. But I have other issues, and I can't see a doctor. So I actually went down to Toma, although I usually go to Minneapolis. It took me 15 minutes from the time I hit the desk to have an appointment of the night with the doctor there, and I changed everything down there.
Okay.
What's going on at the Chippewa clinic?
Well, it's a staffing. It's staffing. I mean, they want to. Doctors are hard to find right now, and they lost a couple doctors. They lost one to Previa or whatever it was, and they lost, I don't know where the other one went to. But so when they get down like that, they're pretty well full on their appointments, and they got to rehire or hire some different ones. What's that?
I got a gastric issue.
Yeah, I understand.
Am I going to die in the meantime that they get a doctor there?
I can't speak for the clinic. I can't. I'm just sitting up and winging it when I do that.
Can you speak for the clinic?
No. No, the clinic is down. I think they're down 2 doctors. Yeah.
I can't go there and get the.
What I would think, if in a case like that, okay, they don't have a doctor, they can't see it, and they say, well, you go to Minneapolis. That's the next. I can see them saying that. But if you can't, then I would think that would be something they should do non-VA care with. Hopefully, that's what I would think. I haven't run into that. It's the first time I had it. I know they were short doctors, but I haven't heard that they're just not making appointments. I haven't heard that yet. Or new appointments. Yeah. I understand.
Right, I think one of the things too is that the clinic in Chippewa Falls too is handling many more clients or patients there than it was originally supposed to.
I'll tell you what it was originally supposed to do was, because I got there in '99, and they opened up probably almost a year before I got there, and they had, that clinic was almost buried. There was 3 people working there. It was a doctor, job area part-time, a nurse practitioner, and I can't remember the other person, but they expected 300 to 800 beds. They figured they had to have at least 3 up to 800 beds to keep that thing open. Okay, they're at 4,700. So you can see that where it went. They had no expectations that happened. And it went like that everywhere. So doctors are just hard to slide in the VA, and they got to go through a process. And I honestly don't know where they're at. I had the same thing. They asked me if I could delay my appointment. I said, yeah, you can do that. So I understand what you're saying, but I think they should do that here. Once it goes past 30 days past, which your scheduled appointment should be, they should do non-VA care. That's how they do it with other things. So I would think the same thing should happen with them. And And I'm not, I can't talk for them. I don't, but your scheduled appointment say it was on January 30th, and they said, I can't get you in, we don't know, and I was waiting, that should do non-VA care. I haven't brought it up to anybody, you know, I'm saying that's not that, you know, I don't know how else.
How long does it take to get non-VA care? Once VA say, well, you're scheduled on more than 30 days,
okay.
How long does it take to arrange non-VA care?
It's got to be approved by Dr. Penn of the VA. And so I said, we send a request of action. The best thing to do is have your doctor send it. That's better than me. And the doctor will send a request in for non-VA care. And Dr. Penn is supposed to answer. They're supposed to have so much time. Sometimes they know he runs over that. But for me to give an exact time frame, I don't know. Hopefully within 2 or 3 weeks you get it. Okay. And what they'll do is, okay, I kind of you decide on the doc. As long as the doc accepts the VA pay. Okay.
Mike?
Community care, when I refer you to that, it can take you over 3 months to get the appointment. Okay?
And it might be. Yep, it might be. I can't speak to that. I know I've sent some for Dr. Penn and it took, the approval took, they keep telling me we're supposed to see it within, they immediately send it in. If he doesn't do it within, I don't know how many days, they put a red flag on it and it's supposed to be done. And I know it wasn't anywhere close to that, but I believe it. I do.
That's because the civilian hospitals have a waiting list also to try to get in.
Right. I see what you're saying, yep.
Mike?
I was asked if I could answer the question for the federal VA. I do not represent the federal VA, but I share your concern and want to work with my federal VA counterparts. Whatever condition that you have, the situation, keep your paperwork just like when you were on active duty. Keep your paperwork and the documentation, working with Mike, working with WDVA if you need to. My concern, when we do use, I'm a veteran, I use the VA. I'm in Madison. I literally have ridden my bike to the VA hospital, and when I was forced on a choice, without a choice, I asked, why? I would like that you, who are in more rural areas, have every opportunity you need to use the choice program. Now I believe it's the mission program. But on that, what I have heard in other organizations, it was at my first presentation at the VFW conference. A person said that they used civilian care authorized by the VA, but then the VA didn't pay quickly and that veteran was getting the bill. If that happens to you, again, reach out to the people like Mike and WDVA who can help you. Don't tolerate that. Get that documented as much as possible. So I appreciate also that you're sharing the information about wait times in the civilian providers as well. For me, I'm going to go with a tangent of when Leroy mentioned that I may, like my predecessor, I am definitely considering where else we could put a home. The challenge I have is if I have demand of veterans who will be able to appreciate and live at that home, I also have to ensure I have a workforce that can support it. We have really good assets here in the Chippewa Falls, Eau Claire, and Minneapolis area. Other areas of the state where I have demand from veterans, I need to, again, ensure that I have the staff to get it. The state and the nation as a whole has a challenge getting certified nursing assistants. Those frontline people who are working and doing the daily care of members at our homes. So I really appreciate your questions about all the variables that we need to consider as we make decisions for our personal health care and as an organization that wants to ensure veterans have the best health care possible, including at our homes. So thank you for asking those questions, and I know Mike and WDVA is standing by to help you with that claim. Because don't, again, my only emphasize, don't tolerate non-payment when you were authorized by the VA to go for private care.
Mike?
Yep.
Can you explain the policy on driving to the cities for care and getting reimbursed for mileage?
Sure. Okay. Mileage is paid to veterans who are service-connected at 30% or more. Okay, that's rule number one. So 30% or more for any appointment you go to the VA. it's, you get travel pay.
Has to be
And-
service related though.
Okay, yep, and then if you're less than 30% and your service connected at 0% or higher, then, and you're going for that appointment for that condition, then you get travel pay. You also get travel pay if you go for a compensation or pension exam, and wherever you go. Now, you don't get paid just if you go to the VA Minneapolis. You go, if they send you somewhere else, which they're doing a lot of now, you get paid from wherever you go, the mileage. That's, yes. Yeah, yeah. So, okay.
Is there a means test or a low income test
Yes.
for reimbursement? What's it at?
Are you talking for travel pay?
Yes.
It's, well, let's go. It's 1209 times 12. No, that's not right. Maybe it is. It's 1209. I gotta remember the number for this year. Anyway, it's whatever the VA rate for pension is. God, I always remember that too. It's 1100 and 1209 is a little bit. Anyway, it's whatever the rate is, it's $1,100 and some dollars a month. And if you're less than that, after you subtract the medical expenses, then you get travel pay. So, does that work right? Okay, thanks. Okay.
Back to the other issue, who travel, where, whatever. If you're military retiree, you can use Medicare and TRICARE, leaving that money, that VA money intact for veterans, that the VA can use that money to take care of them. Medicare and TRICARE are two separate pots of money.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right.
I had two major surgeries over $75,000, and it was all done with the civilian doctors. So the VA didn't have to pay a dime. So there was $75,000 left in the VA pocket to help take care of veterans. If you're military retired.
Yep, you have TRICARE.
TRICARE, Medicare, both.
Yep. Okay, yep.
When we go to the emergency, you call VA, go to emergency right away.
Okay, yep.
How do we know it's going to get paid for?
Okay, that's a great question. He asked if he goes to the emergency, how does he know the VA is going to pay for it? Okay, well, it comes down to two things. If you have Medicare A and B, they're not going to pay for it. Okay, if you have other insurance, they're not going to pay for it. And most of the time. Okay, I'll get to the other part. Okay, so you can usually count if you have insurance, the VA is not going to pay for your emergency. Okay, well, what are they going to pay for? If you use the VA for your health care, you've been there at least once in the last 2 years, but let's say once a year, just don't push it in. But then they're going to pay for that, and you have no other insurance. And you file that, actually the medical center files that with you within a reasonable amount of time. I can't remember if it's 90 days or 120 days or whatever, depends on what it's for. But then they will pay that. If you have no other insurance, that doctor is coded basically as an emergency, and for that emergency period, and then they're going to call the VA. Especially if you're going to stay overnight in the hospital, they're going to call the VA. The VA's got to say, oh no, we'll take them, send them up here. And then you're going to have to take a ride up to VA Minneapolis overnight. Or they say, the VA says, we don't have any room up here for them, leave them there, and the VA's going to pay for it then too. So if they're 5 nights, they're going to pay 5 nights, whatever the hospital bills. But if you turn around and that doc says, I got to see it on Wednesday after they got out on Monday to check on this, you go back for that checkup, they ain't going to pay for that. That ain't going to happen, because that's not an emergency. You go to the VA for that. So the emergency part's paid for. If you have no other insurance, you use the VA for your health care, you're vested, as they say, and then they can pay for that. The doc's got to code it right. If they go in there and they decide this really wasn't an emergency, then they're not going to.
I got a question and a follow-up question.
Okay.
Speaking about VA health care and Medicare,
okay.
I'm apparently covered under both at present. I'm not really sure who is paying the bills. I'm always asked, do you have any other insurance when I go to the VA? And I always say yes, Medicare. And then with that, if folks aren't being able to get into CBOC because of a shortage of doctors, I also go over to Mayo because I am also covered under Medicare.
Okay.
So how does that fall out?
Okay. Medicare doesn't pay the VA anything. Okay, so we're dealing with, your copay at the VA is going to be what it is. If you have other insurance other than Medicare that pays any part of that, they're going to take that part of it, whatever you owe. Okay, if you go for a primary care doctor appointment, it's $15. If you got to go to a doctor to see a specialist, it's $50. Your medications can be anywhere from $5 up to $9. Depends on different situations. So the Medicare is not paying the VA. Your supplement policy might be paying the VA. That's probably what's happening.
I don't know, I'm just wondering.
And if you're not getting the bill, somebody's paying it, right?
Exactly.
But there's other reasons you're not getting the bill. If you're 10% service connected or higher, you're not going to get a bill for medical care either. So, and if you're below a certain wage, if your income below a certain amount, you won't either. So there's other reasons too, just then.
That wasn't my question, but thank you.
Okay.
Okay, you just reminded me of something. I've got supplement insurance. If I could call ask Sacred Heart or Luther Hospital, whatever it is, I get a bill of $0.
Okay.
If I go to the VA down at Toma, I end up getting a bill. It ain't a hell of a lot, but I get a bill.
Okay.
But they always ask me, do I have insurance? Yes, I do, and I tell them about it. Why am I getting a bill?
Your supplement's not
When I
paid.
can totally bypass Toma,
Your supplement's not paid, that's why.
they pay anything else.
Okay, I'm just saying, because if they pay, say you go for a primary care visit, it's $15, your supplement pays $14, you owe $1. They pay $16, you don't owe anything.
If I go straight to the Sacred Heart Hospital,
Okay,
my wife was there
okay,
for 8 days and was this close to intensive care for 8 days. Our bill was $0. And I've got the same thing. And I go there, my bill is $0.
okay.
But if I go to Toma, why don't they bill what they don't want to pay to them? And I still get a bill though.
You should call them and ask them why, ask them to make sure. If your supplement's paying,
It all either.
if your supplement's paying, that comes off whatever you would owe. Not if it out or off what you would owe. Oh, I got a question.
This is more directed to the state. According to a number of resources, living wage is considered between $17 and $18. At some point, is Governor Evers going to look at the wages for our assistant nursing care? Because they're not at that wage. In the home.
Right. If you're talking about the pay that we're paying to our CNAs, for example, yes. It's the first discussion I had with my cabinet peers, and that's it. I believe we are working together. What can we do? Because we're competing. Here in Chippewa Falls, we contract. Mark is the only state employee. At King, we have the CNAs. They pay that CNAs are authorized with the state, and that's where I have the most difficulty probably getting people to work at that level. So it is why I'm working with my cabinet members to say, working together throughout the state, so I'm not also then competing with Department of Health Services or the Department of Corrections. So I don't have an answer from Governor Evers right now, but I'll tell you that I am collaborating with my cabinet peers that we have to solve this problem. I don't know if you want to add anything, Representative. Okay. Yes, so workforce initiatives, thank you. I wish I could say I have an answer today, but I don't, but it definitely is a priority. Because yes. Yep. It is definitely a goal for, you know, if we could solve it sooner than next year, before then, or, yes, the bottom line is we have to. I also point out that in Union Grove, it's now competing with Foxconn and all the spin-offs there. Healthcare, there's a healthcare provider for senior living, not necessarily just veterans, who is paying $20 plus benefits. So I know that I have to solve this problem. So thank you very much for your question.
One more. Okay, I'm not sure you should. So you say.
They can't manage it.
You talk about dual care. Ask me one more time. I'm not sure I heard it.
Same story. Either making the nurses run, the nurses new specialists.
It can go both ways. Your doc can ask the VA, well, they can ask the VA to do it. Doctor's got to decide if they're going to do it or not. They can ask your doctor to do it, then they will send the information to your private doctor, yes.